So in this video I want to share with you the method I use to cut my screen time by at least 83.3%. After watching this video and implementing the steps, you would go from being a guy who wastes his days scrolling even though he said he would be productive, to being the guy who can get work done and isn't controlled by scrolling all the time. This can be achieved with the ESP system that I developed and used to free myself from scrolling addiction. I went from being the guy who would spend on average 6 to 7 hours on my phone to now some days using 30 minutes only. This picture, which is of course real, of my screen time the past few days should be enough to assure you that the system works. So let's get into it. So for a long time I struggled with phone addiction. I remember multiple days where I would tell myself, tomorrow I'm going to be productive, I'm going to meditate, gratitude journal and go to the gym. The problem was that after doing these tasks, I would just end up scrolling and wasting my day. Whenever I had time left, I'd just scroll. I couldn't stop and I wasted so many weekends just watching and scrolling. I couldn't find a fix and I felt like my addiction to scrolling controlled me. After years of struggling, I finally found a way out. And in this video I want to share my method, the ESP method with you. E. Eliminate. So because my addiction was strong and mindset shift wasn't enough to stop my addiction, I needed some barriers to stop using my phone as much. There were 3 specific things I did. Number 1. I turned my notifications off from all apps beside messages because that's where my parents text me. This way I don't get all sorts of random notifications distracting me and making me use my phone. I also deleted most of the apps that I used a lot of time on, so YouTube, TikTok and Instagram. I kept Snapchat because that's where I contact my friends, but because there is something on Snapchat called Spotlight, I scrolled even more, so I needed even more stuff to make me not scroll. Number 2. I use 2 apps that have really helped me lower my screen time. Now I'm not affiliated with any of these apps and this is not an ad. The first app is called Burnout Buddy. On Burnout Buddy you can create blocks for different apps, but the main thing I used it for was to schedule the time I could use my phone. I've put a block for the first few hours of the day and also later in the day, that way I don't scroll at times I don't want to. The other app I use is called Screentime. On Screentime, you can make a message pop up every time you open an app that makes you question if you really want to use it. I also use it to make a counter on how many times through the day I can use different apps. So for example, for Snapchat, I can use the app 5 times a day, 10 minutes each time. Number 3, put your phone in a different room. Every night before I go to bed, I put my phone in a different room. That's why it's not as easy for me to just wake up and start scrolling in the morning. Also do this whenever I need to do work or homework. Just putting my phone in another room to create more friction towards scrolling will definitely lower your screen time. Now that you have these tools you needed at first to turn down your scrolling a bit in place, we move on to the next step, which is S. S. Stop obsessing. At this point I started to realize that the reason why I could never stop scrolling was because I was obsessing so much over my scrolling addiction. All I would think about was, oh, I need to not scroll, oh, I shouldn't scroll, or just think about the topic all the time. This just made me scroll even more. Think about it. All those scare campaigns on TV to make people stop smoking actually worked the other way around, because every time a smoker sees one of the campaigns, he's reminded to smoke. That is the same with you. Every time you remind yourself of your addiction or scrolling, there's a bigger chance that you'll start scrolling. I also realized that the people I knew who didn't have problems with scrolling don't obsess over not scrolling. Like Hamza doesn't obsess over not scrolling. Iman Gadzi or Tate or whichever successful person you think about, they don't obsess over, oh, I can't use my phone. So now you might ask, if obsessing over my screen time makes me scroll more, what should I then obsess over? That is the third and last step, P. P for purpose. See, until now I thought that my screen time was the problem, but in reality my screen time was only a side effect of my actual problem. My actual problem was lack of direction, because when I didn't have anywhere to go, I would just aimlessly wander around and scroll. That's why we need to find a meaningful goal. Something that will make you jump out of bed every morning and you'll be excited to do. Something that gives you fulfillment and direction. Something that takes up your time so you don't have time to scroll. And so to find a meaningful goal, I asked myself these 2 questions. Number 1, what would I do if I knew I'd never be successful or make money? If you knew that you'd never be able to live off of your work, what would you do for work? Try finding something that you'll do for free anyways. For me, it was YouTube. I'll gladly do this for free, and I still currently do. This is not to say that you won't succeed or make money. It's just to make sure that it's something you actually enjoy and you're not just doing it for the money. Number 2, what problem would I like to endure? If the problems that will occur from the work you've chosen eventually will make you hate the work, then it's not worth it. For me, the problems of YouTube would be hate comments, accidentally not pressing record, having problems with editing software or my microphone. These are all things that won't ruin the experience for me, and I'll still like and want to keep doing the work regardless of these problems. Now that you have some meaningful work that you actually care about, you want to start changing the time you spend scrolling with the work. Since you actually want to do the work and find it meaningful, it will be more fun to work than to scroll. Now that you have direction, you won't aimlessly wander and end up scrolling. Instead, you wake up every day ready to work because you have purpose, direction, and a goal to achieve. Over time, your screen time will most likely go down automatically when you use more hours in your purposeful work. To be honest, I literally got addicted to the work instead of being addicted to my phone. So let's summarize. Here is the 3-step method I use to finally stop wasting so much time scrolling. ESP. E. Use apps to limit screen time, turn off notifications, and delete social media apps. Put your phone in a different room to create friction towards scrolling. S. Stop obsessing over your screen time. Understand that when you constantly think and obsess over your scrolling addiction, it's more likely that you will spend more time scrolling. P. Find a meaningful goal by asking yourself these 2 questions. What work would I do if I knew I'd never be successful or make money? What problems would I like to endure? For YouTube, it'd be not pressing record, getting hate comments, audio problems, and etc. Trust me, if you follow these 3 steps and commit to this method over time, your screen time will go down. Alright, that's it. Put one foot in front of the other.